years. Well, joining me are Labor Senator Kimberley Kitching and Liberal Senator James Paterson. Kimberley, you know, I got to say, I'm a little suspicious here. Look, the branch sacking, shocking, doesn't actually surprise me one little bit. But I see the Premier acting like it's a big shock, intervention needed and all that kind of stuff. Is there, in fact, two stories here? One, the branch sacking, and the other, what looks like a purge of the right by the left, with the sting of the people within the party, by people within the party, to expose Somyurek and drive him and his allies out of the government. How do you see it?
Well, Andrew, I think firstly that the ALP and other political parties obviously have very stringent rules around branch stacking. All membership organisations, all political parties need genuine and consenting members of those organisations, and there is no place for branch stacking or for that kind of behaviour in the ALP or I would say in any other political party, because you know it goes across the board. You know, we saw in Malcolm Turnbull's book a bigger picture that he calls it the Great Wentworth branch stacking scandal, and he stacked in 1,500 members, as did Peter King, and there was quite a bitter.
He'll say it was legally, legal, of course, but I know there was bitter feelings there. But Kimberley, the other side of the picture, you know, I agree with you. Like, all right, we'll tick that. The other side of the picture, is this actually a coup by the left against the right? Look.
Steve and Jenny will be running the branch. They are, from both sides of the party, and I think that all members will be under review. So I don't think it's particularly looking out for one type of member over another. And of course, we want genuine and consenting members. Other than that, I think comments should be best left to the people now running the branch.
James Paterson, does Premier Dan Andrews come out looking like a winner? Is rivals and troublemakers gone? Is putting a broom through that? Is cancelled all pre-selections for seats and candidates and all that? So he's looking the strong man, unchallenged within his party now, isn't he?
Andrew, honestly, I was just planning on leaving it to Kimberley tonight. She's the expert on the Victorian division of the Labor Party and the internal machinations. But seriously, I mean, things are really bad when Sam Dastyari says that he's shocked and appalled about what's going on. It really is a total mess, and that's a measure of that. You're probably right. I think probably most political leaders quite like the fact that there might be no internal democracy for a while. It certainly benefits incumbents when that happened. But you probably wouldn't really want to be Daniel Andrews this week. He has lost 3 ministers from his cabinet, and who knows what is to come. To go to your point in the opening, though, Andrew, do we really think that it's only Adam Somyurek and his faction in the right of the Labor Party that stacks branches? Or do we think perhaps maybe that the left does it as well? Daniel Andrews' left faction and all of his mates, Anthony Albanese's left faction and all his mates. And if this inquiry and this audit of the membership is not a genuine, wide-ranging inquiry that looks at left-wing branch stacking as well as right-faction branch stacking, then you'll know it's a total stitch-up.
Kimberley, Bill Shorten was helped by Adam Somyurek. I'm not saying illegally or anything, but he was in Bill Shorten's corner. Did you or Bill Shorten know about what Adam Somyurek was doing, the branch stacking?
Look, I think the reason that it was so shocking was partly because of the surveillance. That this is not obvious. This is not something that's out in the open, and I think seeing that on on hidden cameras, I think was the reason we saw it. This is not something that people flaunt or parade in front of you.
I knew that about all these stories about Somyurek. Well, not all of them, because not in the Labor Party. I knew, and I'm out of it. Did you know?
I didn't know that there was that kind of behaviour going on. When I saw 60 Minutes on Sunday night, I was taken aback.
Okay, well, meanwhile, James, in Queensland, just before the election too, great timing, we've had Queensland opposition leader Deb Frecklington being undermined by the top party officials. This is really bizarre, made even more bizarre by the fact that the Liberal National Party president up there, Dave Hutchison, actually works as a property consultant for billionaire Clive Palmer, who last had a rival political party to the LNP. What on earth is going on? You got the party boss versus the party parliamentary leader at loggerheads with Frecklington demanding that this guy quit. Where are your sympathies in this?
Andrew, to be honest, I'm probably more of an expert on Victorian Labor politics than I am on Queensland LNP politics. It is a strange and unusual beast up there, and I don't think we'll ever replicate that experiment south of the border with a merger between the Liberal and National parties.
Mate, that was a nice
general
sidestep.
view, my general philosophical view is that organisational wings of political parties should stay a long way away from the parliamentary leadership of political parties. It is the role of the parliamentary party to choose their leader. It is not the role of the organisational wing to choose their leader. And if organisational wing members want to have their say, well, then they can run for pre-selection, get pre-selected, join the party room and have a vote in that party room like everyone else.
Very good point. Just quickly, Kimberley, police in Sydney have charged a staffer of Greens MP David Shoebridge with vandalising the statue of Captain Cook, spraying genocide and other slogans on it. Here is how Federal Greens leader Adam Bandt brushed this away this morning on the ABC.
Do you support her actions?
I think David Shoebridge has made it clear that this is something that was done while she was off duty. Can I say I know
what do you think of it, though, generally?
Well, can I say, I know that the Conservatives are desperate to make this issue about statues. It's actually about deaths in custody. And we need to, well, like I said to the Prime Minister in Parliament the other day, if he's concerned about people attending protests, if he's concerned about defacing of statues, then he needs to face up to our history and he needs to do something about institutional racism. Let's put Aboriginal deaths in custody on the National Cabinet agenda, make it a standing item, make the states have to reform their criminal laws so that we stop locking up Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander people at this rate.
Well, honestly, she did it off duty, Adam Bandt says, and apparently in a good cause. And we've got to change our ways or that statue goes. I mean, that's how it sounded to me. Your response?
Well, I think sometimes the Greens political party doesn't believe in the democratic process, and this would just be another example. I mean, if it is up to, the statue of Colston in Bristol that was taken and, thrown over into the harbour. I think we have to be very careful that there is a process around any activity like this, but it is not good enough for Adam Bandt to just sort of brush it away to excuse it. Otherwise, all sorts of people would be doing all sorts of things. We live in a society and we live under a social contract and and probably utilitarian principles for the main. And I would say that doing this, unilaterally making this kind of decision about what statues you do and don't like and do and don't agree with is not the way to have a civilised society.
Well said. James, I'm actually well over time, but in a word, your response to that? Excuse making? Well,
I love how Adam Bandt says it's Conservatives who want to make this about statues and not Black Lives Matter. It's not young Liberals out at midnight vandalising Captain Cook and pulling it down. It's Greens staffers. They're the ones who are making it about statues. We could have a serious debate about the policy issues. They want to have a debate about statues.
Well, allegedly a Greens staffer. We're yet to see what the court decides. But yes, good point. Kimberley Kitching, James Paterson, thank you so much for your time.